Hello, I'm here. Sorry about that, guys. I was having technical difficulties. I hate that. I mean, I really hate it. Okay, there we have people. So sorry. You guys were all on time. I was struggling. I could not get my camera to connect, but my phone did an update, and that's always, a good time. But it's all good. I'm here now. So I just got these new craft catchers. I have been trying to decide if I was going to add them to my craft room, and I've decided I'm doing it. So I'm just installing them quickly while we wait for people. And by I mean installing them, I'm just going to put this lip underneath my glass mat, and they're installed. So I'm hoping that's going to help me keep my desk a little cleaner. How's everyone doing? I have a bit of a cold going on. I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit here. We're a little bit crooked because I was rushing. Okay, I think we're good. So my voice might sound a little bit funny, but I feel good. I just have a little throat thing. Christina loves her craft catchers. Okay, well, I'm a little slow catching on. I just didn't think I needed them, but I've decided I need them. So they're installed and they're going to be used today. So today we are going to work with the Leafy palette layering stencil. So there's a few things to know about this. And I've been wanting to do a live on this for a long time. And one of the reasons I'm picking today is because on Thursday is shipment day. So we're going to get a whole bunch of stuff coming across the border. And one of the things we're getting is the entire palette playbook color cards from Tailored Expressions. And I'm really excited about them, guys, because it helps you pick out color palettes to go along with your ink colors. And it gives you colors to go along, gives you the main color. So let's say I want to use Tailored Expressions Honey. It's going to give me color combinations with honey that will look good. And so it kind of takes the guesswork out of things. And I'm going to be using them a lot. And this card was inspired by a previous card that I made. It was a thank you card. And I think it was also using one of the palette stencils. And I made up a swatch because with this stencil, you can make up a swatch. And I have used this color combination several times. And that's the great thing about these palette playbooks is this is the color swatch I made. And I've gone back to this several times for different things, and it always turns out really good. So I went to this again, and I'm going to use this top version here to create this card. Actually, what I might do is when I make it today live, I might substitute out the Tiki Mule and put in Papaya just to give you a little bit of a different color combination, but it's still going to be in this nice muted tone, which I love. And so I'm going to be working with the Leafy palette stencil. So you'll see that we get to create this leaf design, and then it also gives you a swatch. I'm not going to do the swatch today because I already have one done, but I will talk about it. So that's one thing we're going to be using. We're going to be using Tailored Expressions ink because that is what I used on my swatch. And then the other thing I wanted to use was this sentiment set. Let me look here. It's called Together in Type. Now I looked and we're out of stock, but we do have more ordered. I don't think it's going to hit the border by this Thursday, although we might have some. I'm not sure. But I know there's more coming even in the next order. This has been a really popular one, and it's one of those sets that is like a one and done set, meaning that it is one stamp, and it gives you all the greetings, and then one die, and you cut them all out in one pass. So these are kind of my favorites when they do them like this. There are pros and cons to them for sure, but I'm a person who likes to have my sentiments cut out ahead of my crafting. So in other words, I don't like to stop and go look through my sentiments and you know, then have to stamp them out and cut them out and stack them and all that kind of stuff. I like to have them done already. And then I just go to my bin and I pull out the one that works best for the card that I'm working on. I know that's not how everybody does it, but that's how I like to do it. So when you get sets like this, I like that you stamp it once and die cut it once and you get a bunch. And this one has sentiments that cover just about everything. So there's the just a note, the hello friend, the sympathy, the anniversary, birthday, thinking of you, and thank you. So I would say those are probably the main sentiments that most people grab for. I mean, obviously there's more that you can do, like retirement and, you know, baby things and all sorts of stuff. And that those sets you get a little bit more specific, but this one kind of covers all the basics. And it has a type font and a script font all in one. So we are going to be using that set. And I'm also going to be using my favorite, the Fine Line Script stamp set. You'll notice on my card, I did stamp over the design using white ink. I love doing that technique. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm also using the arch stacklets and petite scalloped arch stacklets from Tailored Expressions. And that's going to give me this focal point for the card. So those are the main products that I'm going to use. We're going to start off by stenciling. And this particular set, this Leafy palette set, does have a foilet that you can purchase. And it is designed to use with your toner foil products. And you can create designs with the foiled detail on them. I'm just going to close my door because my husband's going in and out. And we don't need to hear him. So Amanda made up a couple of samples. Now they're much more vibrant than what I'm working on today. I chose a softer palette, but I'm just going to show you. So my sample has no outline on the design. So it's very soft on the edges, just stenciled only. I like that look. But if you want to have something with an outline, more like a stamped image, you can use the foilet panels. And you don't have to foil them. You can just let the design be like an outline on a stamp. Now, I believe Amanda used her markers to color in the foilet on this and not the stencil. So that gives you that option as well. And she did actually foil this. I don't know if I can get the light to catch it right there. So she did it with black foil. But if you didn't foil it, it just wouldn't have that shine there. And it would just be the black outline. So that is that. And then here's one that's done with actual like shiny foil, and you can get those beautiful details that way as well. So that is what the foilets look like, but I'm not going to be using those today, but I wanted to show you what those look like. So we do have the Leafy palette stencil in stock along with the foilets. So if you're interested in purchasing, those are online and available for you to order. And yeah, so I'm going to set those samples aside. We're going to get out a piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to be ink blending on Hammermill. This is new for me. I usually ink blend on Nina, which I love. But Christina said she always stencils or ink blends on Hammermill paper. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it. So this particular stencil is a 6x6 stencil. There's 4 of them in the package. And you can decide how you want to cut your paper to do your stenciling. There are etched lines on the stencil. I'm going to see if I can get the camera. Yep, you can see them right there. So you can cut your card panel down to an A2 size, and you can line them up with those etched lines each time. Or you can cut it to 6x6. And it will be the same size as the stencil. And then you could also stencil out the squares on the right side to create a swatch. So I'm not going to be doing the swatch, but I am going to be cutting my panel to 6x6 just because it's just faster for me to line things up, especially when I'm doing a lot. So I'm just going to trim this down to 6x6, and then that's what we're going to use for our base. And like I said, I am working with Hammermill. And I did my original sample with Hammermill as well, and it did blend beautifully. So I really liked it. And it might be my new thing. See, I'm always learning. So I've got a nice 6x6 piece, and then I'm going to use stencil number 1, and I'm going to be using 4 ink colors for my design, and I'm going to use 1 for each layer of the stencil. So that makes it really easy. You can definitely add more colors in if you want, and you can get really crazy with your color combinations and so on. When I'm doing a live, I don't like to get too crazy just because I can get myself very confused very quickly. So I just think it's easier to just pick 4 colors and run with it. Now, on my original sample, I used the Tiki Mule. And this time I'm going to use the papaya. Let me grab that. There it is right there. And I'm also going to be using my blending brushes from Altenew. Okay, so I'll set those up there. And we are going to use the papaya ink for a substitute for the blue. No, I can't do that. Oh, darn it. Well, I guess I can. I'll just have to cut my arch. Because I had cut out my arches already in the Tiki Mule, but then I thought, hey, maybe I should switch up the colors. And I'm gonna. Okay, so we're gonna grab a brush here. And I do need my cloth to clean off my brushes in between. Okay. Any questions so far? No, you're all just watching. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start with my honey. We're going to start with honey first, not papaya. Sorry. Starting with honey first. And we're going to do the whole stencil. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to do some shading with the same color. Okay, so I'm just going to go on with a light blend first. And stenciling is so easy. So if you have never done stenciling before, don't be afraid, because it's just so easy to do and the results are amazing. And I think the design of this particular stencil is very flexible because I think you can use it for a lot of different themes. I needed a sympathy card. I always need sympathy cards in my stash. That is one thing I don't sit down and think, oh, I think I'll make sympathy cards. But when you need one, you don't necessarily have time to sit down and make a sympathy card. So it's definitely something I want to build up in my stash. So there is my my first layer of my blend. Now I'm going to go in with the same color, same brush, and I'm going to focus on the base of those petals. And I'm going to just apply a little more pressure, and I'm going to make it a little darker at the bottom. So this happens very naturally when you do this. You don't have to work really hard at it. You can go in with a smaller blending brush if you want to, but I was finding this was working just fine for what I wanted. Don't forget to swirl your brush in different directions so that the bristles glide over the edges of the stencil a little differently. And so you can see there now that I've got some shading happening in those petals. So you can do that with the same color of ink, just adding a little bit different pressure. Okay, so that's layer number 1. I'm going to lift that off and just set that aside. And then I'm going to come in with layer number 2. Okay, I'm just going to put this up here to see what color that is. This is the one where I'm going to add the papaya instead of the Tiki Mule. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up. I'm just going to use my magnets to hold it in place. So I'm working on a magnetic glass mat. And these are magnets, so they'll just hold everything in place. This is also magnetic, and it holds my ink pads, which is very handy. And then we're going to come in, here's my brush, and we're going to add this papaya color. So it's kind of a nice, like, coral. And again, light-handed all over the whole stencil. And if my magnets get in the way, I just sort of slide them out of the way, and then I can move them around. And I never find that my stencil and paper move. Everything stays pretty stationary when I'm using them. They're very strong. I also think this is going to be a great color combination. Okay, so I've got the ink blending done there, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use the same color, same brush, and I'm going to go in pretty heavy on the base of those petals. Okay, and that's just going to make it so that the ink builds up along the base, and it's going to give me some nice shading. And I think Karen said she went shopping. What did she say? Just had to go shopping for the petite scallop arch edges. Oh, yes. I love the scallop to go along with the arches. Now, these are designed to line up with the tailored arches. I don't know if they would line up with other brands. But my advice is pick a brand and stick with them and get their add-ons and so on so that you make sure everything goes together. Okay, so there's my papaya. And then we'll remove this layer. So you can see how pretty that's going to be. And now we're going to come in with layer number 3. And this is going to be the latte layer. Okay, so we're just going to line up our stencil again. And if you line it up and it doesn't look like it's completely lined up, just shift it slightly. You can, with these designs, they're very forgiving, and you can kind of see, you know, where the design is based on what you've already stenciled. So it's really easy. And now we're just going to go in with our latte. And again, light-handed all over the stencil. So this is just like a nice light brown. So I find it very warm and calming on the design. I think the neutrals always are great to mix with your colors. I find they just sort of tone everything down and soften everything. Okay, and again, same concept. I'm going to go in now, same brush, just a little heavier handed at the base of those petals, just to build up the ink a little bit, and it'll provide a little bit of shading. Now I'm just going to grab a different blending brush just to show you what happens when you change your brushes up. So these brushes are a lot smaller in size. Okay, so I'm going to pick out my brown one. I think it's this one. Yep. And I'm going to take this ink, same thing, and I'm just going to go in on one of the petals. And you can see how much ink I can lay down really quickly. So if you want to do some more detailed blending on the bottom of your petals, if you grab a smaller brush, you can really get some great effects. But you can do it with your larger brushes too. It's just a little more work. This is more effective. And that's just simply switching up the style of brush that you're using. And these are all from Ultinude. So it's the same bristles and everything, but you'll notice the difference in length on the bristles. That makes a huge difference when you are applying ink. So the longer your bristles, the softer your blend is going to be, and the more travel your brush has when you are using it. So if you watch my brush on here, like when I spin it around, it goes kind of in a much larger circle. Whereas when I spin this one, I can keep it very focused. So it's a really good sort of description of how the brushes work. But both of them are Ultinude. I see a question. What is that stencil you're using? Oh, it's called Leafy Palette. And it's from Tailored Expressions. And it is a good one. Again, it does have that swatching capability on the side. I'm just not using it today. Okay, so now we've got the latte. And again, you can see how you get that really nice shading within that ink color. Same color, just use more pressure or a different brush to apply the color. And then the last one is mushroom. So latte and mushroom are similar in colors. This is a little more muddy than this one is. So it gives me a different color, but not a huge difference in the way that it looks. Similar, but different. And I'm just going to clean off my brush here so I don't have latte on it. So whenever I clean my brushes, this is basically all I do, is I take a cloth. These are Carolyn's favorite microfiber cloth. We sell them. And I just take my brush and I just rub it until no color is coming off of it anymore. And then I call it clean. And then I can move on to another color. I have brushes for each color family, but I really don't clean them much in between other than that. Okay, so here's our final layer. Okay, Karen says thanks. Oh, and Shelby put the link up for the Leafy palette. And like I said, this design, stencil design, is so great for so many different themes. Okay, so now I'm going in with the mushroom. So the mushroom has a little bit more gray to it than brown. Although it doesn't, I mean, it kind of looks like that way on the lid, but I really notice it when I stencil it out. And I'm just going in with nice, light, even pressure, filling in all the areas like so. And then, just because it is easier, I'm going to go in with that other brush. I'm just going to clean that one off too. And I'm going to do a little shading with that. Now, the thing with the shading, I'm doing it for two reasons. I am going to be doing that stamping with the white ink, and it really shows up nicely on the darker areas that you stencil because it's white ink and white will show up better on darker colors. So the areas where the stenciling is lighter, the ink won't show as much. So I do want to make sure I do get some shading in with these. And that way that white ink is going to show up really nicely. But I think that looks really good. Okay, so let's take this off. And this is our final layer. So our design is finished. So I'm going to hold this up next to our other design. And you can see just by switching out one color, you end up with a different look. Similar in tone, but just adding a different pop of color. So I really like how that looks. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick cleanup. So when I'm finished stenciling with my brushes, I always just rub them on the cloth, and then that way I get all the ink out of them. The reason I do that, oops, I'm shaking the whole table, is so that the brushes don't dry all crusty. Now, some inks are much worse at that than others. Sorry, I'm making you guys all seasick. I find blues, the teal blues, are really bad for making your brushes crusty. So I really try to make sure I clean those out. But this way, my brushes will be fairly clean. And then when they are in my container and they dry, they're not going to dry all hard and crusty. So that is why I do that. Okay, so that's done. Where's my lid? Right up here. I have to clean a little bit as I go. Otherwise, by the end of my video, it's going to be a disaster. And I'm going to clean off my glass mat. This is probably off screen for you guys, but I do have ink on there. I was sort of brushing my brushes on there to remove some of the ink, and I don't want to drag my cards through it. So I'm just spraying some alcohol on there and using my cloth, and alcohol will dry really fast. So my surface is ready to go. And I just use this spray bottle. We also sell these. It's Carolyn's favorite spray bottle. And I just put 70% alcohol in there, and that's what I use to spray. Just kind of covering some of those details for people who might be new to our videos and they don't know these things. But feel free to jump in with any questions you have in the chat because I'm happy to answer them. But here is our finished design. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my arch stencils and I'm going to cut out my design. So I do want to layer it like I did on this card. Okay. So I'm going to be putting it on an A2 folded card base. So I want it to fit on there. I'm going to cheat because I actually have a blue one already cut out because I wasn't going to cut live, but I'm going to cut live. Okay, so it's the second largest scallop is what I'm going to be using, the color. And that would mean, in theory, yes, this is the right one. Okay, so I'm going to take this scallop. This is the straight edge one. And I am going to place it over top of my design, and I'm going to cut it out. Now, this arch is actually smaller than the finished stencil design. I'm okay with that. I think it looks totally fine that I've clipped off the top of this leaf and this leaf and this leaf and even the bottom. I think it's fine. So you can place your die wherever you want it to sit. And normally when I run my dies through the die cutting machine, just to cut out a shape, I'll just put the die on there and do it. But because I don't want this to shift when I'm die cutting, I'm going to use some of the Best Ever craft tape. And this is the 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to tape that die down so that it doesn't shift while I run it through my machine. Now, I always put, I'll just show you up close. I always put the tape on the outside edge of my die so it's not touching the inside. Because when I run this through the die cutting machine, the pressure is going to stick the tape down quite hard. Now, this is a forgiving tape, but sometimes when you go to peel the die off, it might peel off some of your stenciling, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to keep the tape to the outside, and I'm just going to run that quickly through my die cutting machine. And then we will have our design cut out. And then while I'm up, I'm going to grab the papaya cardstock that matches the ink, because I already had an arch cut out in the Tiki Mule, but now I'm going to switch my colors. So I'm just going to grab papaya, assuming that I can find it quickly. Oh, that's persimmon. This must be it. Yes, papaya. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then I've got my papaya cardstock, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut the arch out of this. Okay, so this is a half sheet. And I think I can get 2 arches out of one piece, so that works. Which paper do you prefer to blend on? Well, we did talk about that just at the beginning of the video, but I'm glad you brought it up again. I normally blend on Nina, the 80-pound white cardstock, but Christina mentioned that she always ink blends on Hammermill, so I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. I like them both. But the Hammermill is a much smoother cardstock, and I think that the inks likely blend easier on that. So we sell both of those in 10 packs, and they both work well. But I did use Hammermill this time. Okay, so I'm going to peel this. Well, I don't have to peel it off. We'll do the cleanup for that later. Okay, so now I've got my design and I have my scallop. So these layer together like this. So pretty, right? Now, I could leave it like this, but I'm going to do a few things to my image just to jazz it up a bit. I'm going to hold them side by side just so you can see the difference. So this one is very crisp and clean, but we're going to sort of distress it a little bit by stamping with the white ink and also doing some splatter. Okay, so that's going to make things a little bit less crisp and a little more distressed. It just adds a little bit of detail and info and texture to it, not info. I read Brenda's comment that said, thanks for the info. So I said it. So this just adds a little bit of texture to the design. And I really love how that looks. So I'll show you how I do that. So I'm going to just take my panel and I'm going to get out my Misty. And inside my Misty, I have a sticky mat. It's the thin ones. And the reason I like the thin ones is because sometimes I use stamps that are the rubber that have the backing on them. So you can't have anything thick in here or your stamp is going to be too thick. So I know that there are grip mats that you can get and put in there, but they do have a thickness to them, and they might be too thick when you're using a stamp like this. So the thin ones are nice because you can put them in there and they don't take up any space. And the reason I want that is because I want to put my panel away from the edge of the Misty, because I want my stamping to go edge to edge on this. Now, with this script one, you want to make sure you get it going the right direction. So I want to lay that over top of the whole image. And so if my panel was right against the edge, it might not catch the edge of my paper. Does that make sense? So now I know that the stamp is going to go over the whole thing. Now, I recently re-inked my pad, and I am getting great results when I'm stamping with this white. So I will preach a little bit now about taking care of your ink pads. So whether you use ink cubes, well, especially if you use ink cubes, or whether you use full-size ink pads, they're much like humans. They need to be hydrated. So if you don't drink enough water, your body will tell you that, right? You get dry skin and dry eyes, and your doctor's not happy with you. So just like that, your ink pads, you need to keep them moisturized. And that is what you use your ink refills for. So if you find that you are not getting a good stamp with your ink, or you're blending and having to pick up a lot of ink when you're doing it with your brushes, you need to re-ink your pads. And then your results will be much better. So I have done this technique before in lives and had to stamp several times to get the ink to build up. But really what I needed to do was re-ink my pad, which I did. So I'm going to add ink to my stamp over here. And I'm not saying that having to stamp a second time or a third time even is not warranted sometimes. But if you are finding that your pads just are not juicy enough and they're not putting enough ink down, then definitely give them a drink and add some more of your ink to them. So I'm just going to use a smooshing tool. We don't have access to this one anymore, but any kind of smooshing tool is good, just to put some even pressure on that. And it's going to stamp right over top of my design perfectly. I only have to do it one time. So I'm done with my stamp, and I will clean that later. And I'm done with my Misty. So with the sticky mats, I've got ink on here. So to clean these sticky mats off, what I do is take them to my laundry room sink, and I have Dawn dish soap and a very light scrub brush. So I spray them, I scrub them, and I let them air dry, and then they get really sticky again. So that would get all that ink off there. But I'm going to bend this and see how my paper just automatically comes off. Do you see how it pops off? That way you can lift this off without curling your paper. And it makes it really easy to have it pop off. Now, that is a slow drying ink, the white. So you're going to want to dry it before we move on to the next technique. So I have my heat tool ready to go. I'm just going to place this on this clipboard here. And I'm just going to give it a hit of heat just to dry the ink so I can splatter. Okay, so you won't be able to hear me for a minute. We'll just dry this off and then we'll be right back. Okay, so even if I was to stop right here and not do any more, I'm just going to hold it up so you can see that stamping on there, how it has softened the image. See how that looks? Isn't it beautiful? I love doing this. And I mean, you don't have to use a script stamp. You could use like a fine polka dot, or I'm just trying to think, even like a really fine line, or like if you've got like a diamond pattern or something and you just stamp that over the whole image. You just want something that has a very fine line, nothing too thick or bulky, but isn't that cool? So that's all done. So now we're going to do the next step. And I don't normally do this live, but I know people like to see it. I'm going to splatter. So I have a splatter box. It's not pretty. Okay, so I've just put my panel in there. And then off to the side, I'm going to use this black acrylic speckle. And I'm just literally, the reason I love this one so much, there's lots of products that you can splatter with, but I love this one. I've just recently added it to my craft room, is because it has this squeeze top. And I can literally drop one drop of ink on my mat. So I'm just dropping one drop of ink on my mat. And I'm going to take a paintbrush. This one right here. Oops, that's too big. This one right here. So it's just a fine paintbrush. And I'm going to spray a little bit of water off to the side. Not in my pile of ink, just off to the side. So I can pick up a little bit of water with the script adds to the scrapbooking cards today. I say what? I'm just going to add a little bit of water to my black, and I'm going to pick it up. And then I'm literally going to tap it on my hand and let the splatter do its thing. This is something you don't have a lot of control over. It kind of goes where it goes. Sometimes it doesn't go where you want it to go. And I'm just going to stop there. So I've just added a little bit of splatter to that, just to add. I think cards with black on them look really good. I'm just going to set that aside for a second while I clean up here. I'm going to use this cloth to just clean up my ink and my water. And then I'm going to spray some alcohol down there. For now, I'm just going to... So my craft cloths get used a lot in my craft room. And I just throw them in the washing machine with my jeans, because that doesn't really hurt. And then, they might get stained a little bit and whatnot, but I use them a lot. And then I'm going to spray some alcohol on here just to get rid of this paint. And we're going to be good. So no overspray really, which is good. So experiment with the size of brushes that you use when you splatter, because I think that also is helpful. Okay, so there is my splattered design. Isn't that cool? I love how that looks. So now we've got the stamping done in the white and the splatter done in the black. And the splatter will dry pretty quick. But I have some other things we'll do while we're waiting for that to happen. Okay, so I'll just set that up there. Now we're going to talk about, well, let's not talk. Oh, see, look what happened. All the way over on my desk, I got splatter on this. And it happens. It gets everywhere. That's why I don't like splattering in my craft room, but it's okay. That's going to get covered up. My card base is here. I kept that far away. So that's that. Okay. And then let's talk about the sentiments. So I did say that we were using this set here. It's called Together in Type. It is sold out right now, but we have more on the way. So if this is something you're interested in, just email us at the store and we will add you to our notify list. And then when it comes in stock, we'll send you an email and let you know it's back up online and you can go on and order. And if you are new to our channel, I will put up our email somewhere right here. There it is. So you can just email us at the store and we would be happy to let you know when they arrive. So this is what they look like when you stamp them out. So this is the happy anniversary. And look how cute that is. I love the font. Look at my hands. That's happy anniversary. Then we have hello friend. So that's what that looks like. And we've got just a note. So they're all different sizes. So here's the happy anniversary size and there's the just a note. So sometimes you want something a little smaller, which is nice. And then we have thinking of you. And I like that they've mixed the font. I think it looks really good. And I'll remove this banner now. And go back to the comments. Christina usually covers her glasses. Yeah, it goes everywhere. Birthday wishes. What else? Oh, the with sympathy, which is what I used on my blue version of my card. And did we do think? Oh, and thanks so much. So that's what they all look like. Now I have stacked these, which means that I've cut them, stamped them and cut them. And then I cut 2 more layers of 110-pound cardstock and I glued them together so that they are thick. And that sort of naturally pops them up on your card design too, which looks really good. So I love doing that. And now these are all ready for me when I want to make cards. So I don't have to pull the stamp set out and do them every time. I'll do 2 or 3 sets of these and then I put them in a little container. I have a little file system. And then that way, when I want sentiments, I just go and get them. I don't have to sort of decide. So that's what those sentiments look like when they're all cut out. They're really easy to do, very easy to line up. And that's what they look like. So that's cool. Now I want to make sure this is dry before I do anything with it. So I might just blast it with my heat tool one more time, because I don't want to smudge this ink, because that would make me sad. It does dry pretty quick as long as you don't blob it on, but so I can see it's pretty much dry. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and adhere that to the scalloped piece so that I have one background piece. Thankfully, that gets covered up. So I'm going to use liquid glue to adhere it to the background. I'm not popping this part up. And I left the lid off my glue press, so I'm just going to poke it with a pin. I'm sure it's fine, but I want to be sure. Okay. So I'm just going to take this panel. I keep hearing a noise, and it's my cat, Cooper. He's snoring. I have not been in my office for a very long time, and I think he's happy that I'm up here. So I'm just going to take some of those magnets that I was using before, and I'm just going to put some pressure on this panel and stick down that piece. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of this and then tie a bow, and then I will stick the whole panel down, because I did pop it up. So I want to get that twine wrapped around there first. So we've got this twine. Now we sell this twine by the yard. We actually sell it by the spool as well. And if Shelby is on here, maybe she can put the links up for that. But we sell it by the yard, and we also sell it by the spool. But I love this stuff so much. And it's neutral, so you can put it on anything. And I love that. Okay, so Tanya's saying, what is your favorite white for splattering? So I use the Winsor & Newton white, but they also have that acrylic that I just did in black. They have it in white as well. I love the dispenser for it. It's good. And the black is awesome, so I'm sure the white is great too. But it allows you to just get one little dropout, which is very helpful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take the twine, and I'm going to start on the back, and I'm going to use these bumps as a guide. So I'm going to kind of go from this top bump here down to the bottom one, and then over maybe to the middle one. Oops, I let go of the twine on the back. Don't do that. Okay, so down to the bottom one, because you want your twine to be sort of irregular. Kind of like that. And then I'm just going to fasten the ends on the back with some tape. Oh, thank you for the link, Shelby. Yeah, so I don't, go crazy and do anything fancy back here. I'm just going to tape this down. Just make sure it's pulled nice and tight so it doesn't unravel or anything on the front. And this is all going to be hidden, so you won't see any of it. Okay, so we've got that. So there's our twine kind of along the bottom. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to tie a bow with 2 pieces of twine. Okay, so I've doubled it up, the thickness, and I'm just going to tie a bow. And everyone says, well, how do you tie a bow? I just do it. I can't think about it. Otherwise, I mess it up. And I find this twine is quite forgiving. You can manipulate it a little bit. And if it just isn't working out for me, I just start again. But it is a bit tricky to tie bows. So I don't love how that's sticking up there. Oh, there, we'll just tuck it in behind. Okay. So I don't want my bow too big, and I just want to be able to sort of place it kind of like down here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a drop of glue on that. So I'm just putting the glue just above my twine. I'll place this here. And again, I'm going to plunk a magnet on top of it just to put some pressure on it and allow it to sort of set. And trim off the ends. Perfect. So this design naturally gives you a space kind of up at the top here that I think is a perfect spot for putting a sentiment. You can definitely put your sentiments down here, and I'll lay them in a few places just to give you an idea what they look like. But I was happy with how it looked when I put it at the top. Tammy, great, thanks. I've got the Winsor & Newton ones in black, silver, and gold, but I'm in need of white. Yes. So the Winsor & Newton inks are hard to get for us. So if we don't have the white in stock, definitely try this. Just give it a really good shake before you use it. And literally you can drop one drop on here and then, go ahead and in with your brush. It's very, very convenient. So this is made from Hero Arts and I really like it. So definitely give that a go. Okay, so let's just look at this piece, and I'm just going to play around with sentiments. I'll grab the With Sympathy one, which is what I did before. And again, if you place it at the top there, see how it just nicely fits in to that space, and it kind of overlaps your design a little bit, but it fills in that white space that is just there from when you did your stenciling. So I think naturally my eye just goes there, but you certainly can put your sentiments down towards the bottom if you prefer to have that look down there. So that's what the With Sympathy looks like. This is Thinking of You. So again, I think the size of this particular greeting set is so great. That's very crooked. There we go. So they just nestle in there so nicely. And then even if you use the smallest one, which is the Just a Note, you can see how well that one works too. So they're all like a really nice size. And I mean, you could make up panels like this and don't put any sentiments on them at all until you're ready to send them. And then you can decide, is this going to be a birthday card? Is this going to be a thank you card? Just a note, a happy anniversary, whatever it is you need. So sometimes if your card design allows you to, just leave your sentiments off until you're ready to give them. And then that way you've got a lot more flexibility with the cards that are in your stash. Sometimes when I'm creating cards, you can't wait to put your sentiments on. Just depends on the design you're doing. But I do need sympathy cards, but I've already got one. I'm just trying to think. Thinking of You is another good one because Thinking of You can be a sympathy card. It can be a birthday card because on the inside of the card, you can say Thinking of You, on your birthday or Thinking of You for whatever reason. So I think Thinking of You is another really good one to put on the front of a card. So I'm going to go ahead and commit to that. And again, I'm just going to use my liquid glue to attach this. So I'm using the My Sweet Petunia glue press. It is my favorite applicator for liquid glue because I can really control how much is coming out of there. Where's my tweezers? There they are. Just to make sure I get this straight, because when I was looking at the screen, it definitely was not straight. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then again, magnets are your friend. So you can just plunk that on top of there. It'll apply pressure and get that down. And then I just have a few gemstones to add, and then we're going to put it on our card base and we're done. So that's how easy this panel is to work with. And I really love the papaya with this color combination just as much as I love the Tiki Mule, which is the blue. And I'll put them side by side again when we're done, just so you can see. And I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to do exactly what I did on the other card with my gems because I think it works. So I'm just putting my little dabs of glue on here. And then I can just grab my gems, which I already have on my tray here. And I'm just using a pickup tool that has a wax tip. And that's what I'm using to pick up these gems. Now, the ones I'm using are a little heavy. So sometimes the wax tip doesn't pick them up very well, but oops, see, they drop them sometimes. So I tend to get a little bit closer and then here we go. But I thought the color of ink that I used on this worked really well for these little gold gems. I don't use gold all the time, but it did work well. I generally like myself neutral ones, you know, the metallics and the clear, that kind of thing. But you can go with colors as well. So I'll just hold this up just so you can see all the details that are on here. Now that looks a little bit crooked online, but it's not crooked. It's straight. Let's just see how this looks here. So you can see my bow and my gems and the splatter and the script, and then how soft and now that the colors are drying with the ink, all the inks have leveling agents in them. So they might look a little blotchy when you first blend them out, but they do tend to smooth on their own. But you can see the little bit of shading that is done with the ink blending when I did it. And now we're just simply going to place this on here. So I'm going to use some foam adhesive now to pop this up. And then we will be done. So I'm always raving about the rolls of foam tape versus little foam squares and stuff. And this is why I love them so much, because you can cut the pieces any length that you want on your backing, and it's going to really support your card. So I'm just sort of filling around the outside, and then I'll put one on a diagonal down the middle just to give the center of my card some support. And if I had done that with foam squares and you're doing it in a way that you're actually supporting your front, you're going to use half a package. Whereas this way, you're just using a few strips, and those rolls of adhesive foam tape, they last a very long time. We do a lot of crafting, and they're lasting us, 6 months or more, sometimes a year, depending on what we're doing. But then this just fits nicely on the front, and I'm just centering it all around. And we're done. So I'm going to put them both side by side just so you can see that color family. And I think I have the cards handy that I made with this color palette originally. Yes, I do. Because I don't like to give anything away. But you can see, here's the original cards that I made when I first used that color palette. And then there they are again. So if it works, you just keep using it. And I love that color scheme. So it worked out nicely. Okay. Any questions that you want to ask? Because now's the time. Boy, I really love those. They're very cool. But this is the focus here. Any questions you want to ask before we sign off? We're at 53 minutes, so I was able to do it in an hour, which is my plan, so I don't keep you too long. And again, if you don't mind giving our video a thumbs up, and any product that you're looking for, if you can't find it, just shoot us an email. We're happy to help. If it does sell out, just ask us to add you to the notify list, and then as soon as it's back in stock, we will send you an email and let you know that it's time for you to go on and shop. What was the stencil on original cards? Okay, so this is the palette playbook. Oh, okay. What is this called? Let me tell you. I can look it up. Hold, please. It's also a palette, but petal palette maybe, I think. It was the original release, and then they came out with the Leafy one. And that petal palette also has the swatch option down the side. So if you want to do your colors. Petal palettes? Yes. So it is petal palette. And I'm just looking to see if we have it in stock. Of course, now all the palette playbooks are in here, so it's going to take up. I'm just checking really quickly. Shelby's probably already done this. She's way faster than me. Yes, petal palette. I'm just trying to see if it's here. We have one in, nope, that's the foilet. No. We have, and there's actually a die for the flower now too. I don't know if there is one for the leaf. Yeah, petal palette, we don't have any either, but I'm ordering more. They're beautiful to have in stock, or beautiful to have in your stash, because they're just, I think, just classic designs that work for any theme. So, yeah. So it's called Petal Palette, and it's out of stock again, but we will order it. And I know this one has a die that you can cut out that design and pop it up if you want to. I'm not sure if the leaf one has it or not. I can't remember. But yeah. Okay, well, that's it for me. As you can tell, my voice is not faring very well here in the live. It's getting very crackly. But any questions, feel free to email. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you learned a few things, and we will see you again soon.